I've shown you two different types of animation so far in Flash. One called stop motion animation, which is where you create all the frames manually, and one called tweening, where you automate the process between keyframes. In this lesson I want to show a third type of animation which is achieved using pure ActionScript code. And I just want to show you what I'm aiming for in this lesson. The effect that we're looking at is revealing part of the stage, and the part of the stage that is being revealed is tracking the position of the mouse cursor. So this animation effect is being created with ActionScript. And I will also be showing you in this lesson how to achieve this revealing effect, which is called masking. So I've created and saved a new ActionScript project, and the first thing I'm going to do is to put the image on the stage. And to do that I'm going to go into File, Import, and Import to Stage. The image will also go into the library, but if I only wanted to go into the library I would click on the second image, but because I want to put it on the stage I'm going to Import to Stage. I'm going to select the image and then click on Open. The image has gone into the library and onto the stage, but it is a bit on the large side at 1800 pixels. So I'm going to reduce the size of that, and because it's a locked size, both the height and the width change together, so the height has also been reduced in size. But it's a different size to the stage at 640 by 556. The stage is 550 by 400. So I'm going to change the stage size. The way I just revealed these properties was just by clicking on the stage area. So I'm just going to change the size of the stage to match the size of the image. And then I'm going to position the image at the 0, 0 point of the stage. So I've now got the stage and the image aligned and the same size. I'm just going to call my layer background, and I'm going to create a new layer and call that mask, and that's where I'm going to put the circle where part of the stage was revealed. So to do that I'm going to first use the oval tool. Choose any colour you want, it doesn't matter. I'm going to affect the masking. So there I've got my circle. At the moment if I go Control Test Movie you can't see any masking effect. To get the masking effect enabled, right mouse click on the layer and then click on Mask. You can see on the stage, and if I test compile, the masking effect has now been enabled. To return the stage to its original appearance but retain the masking effect, just unlock those layers, which locked automatically, and you can relock them again to see the masking effect. So I'm just going to unlock those because I want to link this circle rather, to ActionScript code so I can change its position using the cursor. So in order to be able to access this graphic using ActionScript, I first need to convert it to a symbol using modify convert to symbol. I'm going to have the type as movie clip. I'm just going to call it my circle. And in order to access it in ActionScript I also need to give it an instance name, and the instance name I'm going to use is my mask. Okay, so I'm also going to create a new layer for the ActionScripts to be written in. And then to look at the actions I go into Window Actions. Okay, so the way I'm going to do this is to add an event listener, and we've come across this before when we were listening for mouse clicks. This time I'm going to do something different, so I'm going to add event listener, event, enter frame animate. I'm just going to add a function called animate because I've said that that's what it's going to be called. So I'm not using mouse events this time, this is just a general event. And I'll just show you what it does using the trace function. It works. So if I go control test. So when I put in a mouse event a few lessons ago and I clicked, it worked, appeared once, or rather whenever I clicked it, the text appeared. This time it's appearing without me doing anything at all, and it seems to be appearing on quite a large scale. So what is this function doing? So event.enterFrame is a way of telling ActionScript to listen for an event, for the event when the animation proceeds to the next frame. So every time it goes to the next frame in the animation, this animate function is executed. And if I just cross this off, the animation is running at 24 frames per second. Now you can change that value, although if you increase it too much, slower computers might struggle with the animation because it would be a fast rate of frames. So generally it's a good idea to leave it at 24 for most projects. But you can see what's going on here is that this function is being run every time there's a new frame. So it's almost looking a bit like the timeline itself. So it's like a timeline but in ActionScript form. So I go back to the actions, window actions. The reason why it works was repeated so many times is because it was being written 24 times every second. Every time there's a new frame, it works being written to the output. So let's remove that because that's not the functionality we want. What we want is for the mask circle to track the position of the cursor. So when I move the cursor, my mask moves to the same position. So to tell ActionScript to do that, I want to access the X and Y position, the X and Y properties of my mask. And remember, my mask is what I called this mask. If I select it, the instance name is my mask. So my mask dot X, so the dot syntax allows me to access properties of my mask. X is the position along the x-axis, and I want that to be the same as stage.mouse x, which is a way of accessing the position, the x position of the cursor along the x-axis. I need to do the same with the y position. So now what the what this function is saying is sets the x and the y positions of my mask to be equal to the x and y positions of the cursor. So when I move the cursor, my mask should be set to the same position, and this is being done every single frame. So every time I move the cursor 24 times a second, the mask will also be moved to the same position, and that's what creates the animation effect. So if we just test it works, control test, and it is working, although it would be nicer if the mask was centered on the cursor rather than in that corner. So we'll just cross that off and cross this off to find out what's going on here. So click on the mask, make sure it's unlocked so you can see it and manipulate it on the screen. The X and Y position of this my mask circle is setting the position of this corner, the registration point of the symbol. So I want the circle to be centered onto that point. So I'm just going to double click onto the symbol So it's gone in. I've now gone inside the symbol. I'm just going to move this the circle so that that registration point is at the middle of the circle, and I could do it manually like that, or I could calculate half the width and move it using the X and the Y position, or I can use the align menu, align horizontal center, align vertical center. Then to come out of the symbol I go scene 1. So now it's still setting the position of the registration point, but now the circle is being moved so the registration point is in the middle of it. So if I now go Control Test, I can see that the mask is now moving correctly, so it's the cursor is at the centre of that mask. So let's just summarise what I've done. I've put in a background image using File, Import Stage. Then I created a new layer and I put the circle in it, and I right mouse clicked to set it to be a mask. And then I've added some ActionScript in. I also converted that mask to a symbol so that I could manipulate it in ActionScript. I've added an event listener to listen for entering frame events, so every time the animation goes to a new frame, this animate function is executed, and what that is doing is every frame is setting the position of my mask to be the same as the position of the mouse cursor. Of course, it would be nice to put some comments in, which I will do, and I will save the file, and you can look at that later on. So in the next lesson I will be showing you how to tween the wheel that I gave you as a project in the last lesson, and I'll also be showing you as an alternative way to animate it, how to set up the same animation using this type of ActionScript code.